Good morning, everyone. It may not have felt like it this week, but it's February, and welcome to this month's edition of the Pilgrim Connection. Here at Pilgrim, we are blessed with so many things: a growing school, a growing congregation, various ministries for different age groups, as well as financial blessings to support those ministries. Just as Pilgrim wrapped up its fiscal year and planned for 2017, I sat down with Church President Ryan Huxdorf to find out just how we are using those financial blessings to grow, serve, and reach.
You know, oftentimes when we have a budget meeting, there's discussions about cutting expenses or how do we get closer to a balanced budget.
But not this year, not for 2017.
Now, once the voters saw how much we had been blessed in 2016 and the opportunities that were presented to us for 2017, the conversation really focused around, okay, how do we give back to God to show our thanks for those blessings over the last few years.
So let's take a closer look at where exactly those investments took place. First, the biggest piece of the pie is what we use to pay our called workers and other staff with. Over the last couple of years, we've seen a steady increase in their salaries, creeping closer and closer to the number that the Wisconsin Evangelical Lutheran Synod suggests for each called worker. From 2016 to 2017 alone, we see a 4% increase in those salaries.
You know, we're of the opinion that we have the best faculty in the WELS, and it just seems logical, a logical extension of that, to make sure that they feel appreciated for everything that they do, and that we're paying them accordingly.
Next, we check out the piece of pie called Extended Ministry. That basically covers our contributions to three places: Wisconsin Lutheran High School, Kettle Moraine Lutheran High School, and the Synod. And thanks to God's blessings, we were able to budget an increase of $7,500 for that entire piece of pie. Ryan Huxdorf says that our contribution increase to the Synod is especially important, as it complements our local reach here in the Menominee Falls area.
Our Synod support goes a long way to stretching that ministry throughout all corners of the world.
Y estamos muy agradecidos.
So the Synod is involved in outreach ministries, and our increased support of those Synod ministries just further expands our reach.
And to continue that idea of reaching out locally, Pilgrim's voting members saw it important to allocate more money to this piece of pie called ministry teams, specifically to the outreach team, led by Sam Brandt, to, God willing, reach out to more people with the gospel.
So that was one area of ministry in 2017 that was kind of a no-brainer. You know, we needed to put additional resources behind that effort to give Sam and his team the ability to further reach out and better our communication to our neighbors.
And lastly, thanks be to God and contributions in excess of our ministry needs, there was a brand new item added to this year's ministry plan. It's called the Capital Improvement Fund. It's important to note that this fund isn't taking from other areas of ministry. It's basically leftover money after allocating funds to other various ministries. We're starting the fund with $10,000, with hopes of potentially investing up to $70,000 into it over the next 10 years.
And the idea is that if something breaks, we want to have the resources to be able to fix it immediately, not out of our operating budget or using a line of credit, but out of funds that we've set aside for that rainy day.
Ryan wants to stress that the whole budget-making process at Pilgrim is not just made up by one or two people, but it's starting with Mike Delvaux and his ministry support team, and then the other trustees, Carl Wolf and Jim O'Leary, and then discussion by the congregation before the final budget is actually voted on.
So that's a very collaborative process, trying to understand where we want to focus our efforts, all with the goal of growing God's kingdom.
Thanks be to God for His countless blessings in 2016, and may He continue to bless our ministries for many years to come. Our next story this month comes from one of those high schools that we support here at Pilgrim, Wisconsin Lutheran High School in Milwaukee. Currently, we have 6 students who go to Wisco, one of which is Jeremiah Swanson. Jeremiah is part of Wisco's Robotics team, an extracurricular activity where he learns not only about engineering, but also about Christian leadership. A couple of weeks ago, Pastor Recker spoke about us Christians being the salt of the earth, and that we should let our light shine before others, that they may see our good deeds and glorify our Father in heaven. And the way that we shine our lights can happen in many different ways. One way that high school junior Jeremiah Swanson is shining his light is through robotics competition.
Usually when people hear about robotics, they think it's
robots that are destroying each other like the battle bots. This is nothing like that.
Jeremiah's dad, Pete Swanson, is an operating engineer by profession and serves as Wisco's robotics team's engineer mentor. Basically, he, along with a coach from Wisco, assists the students in the planning, designing, and building of their team's robot.
Every day we meet, they have to work together to solve common problems. Whether that be with the robot, whether it be with logistics of traveling to a tournament.
Students work together to build a robot that can perform specific tasks in order to score points inside of this 12 by 12 foot playing space.
Slightly off, slightly over.
At tournaments like this state-level competition at UWM earlier this month, teams face off against other schools from all over Wisconsin in round-robin play. And by the end of the day, one team finishes on top and advances on to the next tournament where they will face teams from all across the upper Midwest.
1 second at the buzzer.
Competitions like these are what Jeremiah says is his favorite part of being on Wisco's robotics team.
It's immense fun, seeing all the different costumes, talking to different teams, seeing the creative things that other people come up with to do on their robots is just incredible.
Considering these students invest a lot of time, a couple of hours every day after school for 2 or 3 months actually, it's not surprising just how important these competitions are to them.
Watching the kids go from extreme high emotions to extreme low emotions, my job as a mentor is to keep them steady and keep them focused, which isn't always easy with teenagers.
Jeremiah serves as lead driver and captain of this year's Vikings robotic team. And even though his team didn't make the playoffs in today's competition, listen to the way that he reacts to their performance.
Our robot performed how I wanted it to. We scored as many points as we possibly could today. I think we did fine.
This is not the reaction of a sore loser. This is the reaction of someone who can take the day for what it's worth and remember the positive things that he got out of the experience.
A better understanding of the mechanics world, a better understanding of engineering, and one of the best things is it helps you, being a Christian, to learn what they call gracious professionalism.
Jeremiah may not have known it, but today, he let his light shine to his teammates, to his competitors, and to all the fans in the stands watching. That's how Jeremiah is letting his light shine.
Going around to teams, not being disappointed about a loss, being happy for other teams, overall just being fun. And we can use that to exemplify what we believe through that.
Jeremiah has 1 season left with Viking Robotics before he graduates in 2018. After that, he's off to study, you guessed it, engineering, chemical engineering to be exact, at the University of Minnesota. Well, that does it for this month's Pilgrim Connection. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next time. God bless.